Welcome back to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets. Today, we're diving into the world of mini LED TVs.
Ooh, mini LED. Sounds fancy.
It is, and we're trying to answer that age-old question. Do you really have to spend a fortune to get a fantastic picture?
It's a great question, and a question a lot of people have.
Yeah.
To help us figure it out, we're looking at a review comparing two popular models.
Okay, which ones?
The Sony Bravia 9, known for its premium price tag.
Yeah, those Sonys will cost you.
And the Hisense U9N. This one's a contender that boasts impressive specs at a fraction of the Sony's cost.
Really? So, how much are we talking?
You're potentially looking at saving anywhere from $500 to $1,000 by going with the Hisense.
Wow, okay, so a significant difference.
Yeah, a serious chunk of change.
So this YouTube video review we have from Digital Trends pits the 75-inch Hisense U9N against the 65-inch Sony Bravia 9.
Okay.
They're testing them with an Apple TV.
Makes sense.
And they're running them through HDR, SDR, and even Dolby Vision content.
You know, it's actually a really smart comparison because while there's a slight size difference, it shouldn't really impact picture quality that much.
Right, just 10 inches.
Yeah. But that price gap is huge. Like we said, $500 to $1,000. That's what makes this comparison so important.
Right, so let's unpack this thing.
Let's do it.
Starting with the Hisense.
Right.
Right off the bat, the reviewer was surprised by how substantial the U9N felt. They even commented on the sturdy metal feet and these cable management clips.
You know, I really appreciate those little touches.
Definitely. It shows attention to detail.
Yeah.
You know, those details kind of suggest that Hisense isn't cutting corners.
Even though it's a more budget-friendly option.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, hey, we can offer premium features without the premium price.
I like that.
And you know what else? The reviewer was also impressed with the U9N's out-of-the-box color accuracy,
Ooh, interesting.
especially in filmmaker mode. So it seems like they're serious about delivering a quality viewing experience.
All right, how about the Sony? You know, I have to admit, I'm a sucker for fancy packaging.
Oh, yeah.
And from what I saw in the video, the Sony Bravia 9 definitely delivers on that front.
It did,
Yeah.
but it's not just about the packaging with the Sony. It's got those solid, almost cast-iron feet.
Really?
And just an overall sleekness to the design. It just screams high-end.
You know, I'm curious, though. Is there something more to this premium feel, or is it just marketing hype?
Well, there is a secret
Ooh, a secret.
to why Sony consistently delivers excellent screen uniformity,
Okay.
which often contributes to that premium feel. We'll have to save that juicy detail for a future episode, though.
Ooh, you know how to keep us coming back for more. All right, let's not get sidetracked. Picture quality is king when it comes to TVs.
Absolutely.
Tell me, how did these two stack up?
Well, when it came to HDR performance, the reviewer was initially blown away by how closely the Hisense matched the Sony
Really?
in terms of colors and those deep, inky blacks we all love. Hold on, so you're telling me the Hisense, the more budget TV, was holding its own against the Sony in HDR?
Yep.
That's pretty impressive. What happened next?
Well, the reviewer started to notice that the Hisense tended to boost the average picture level,
Okay.
which resulted in a brighter image overall, but also slightly less saturated colors compared to the Sony.
So does that mean the Sony's automatically better? What's the downside of a brighter picture?
It's not that straightforward. A brighter picture can be great, don't get me wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to think about the trade-off with highlight detail.
I see.
The reviewer pointed out that the Sony has more flexibility in its settings.
Okay, so you can adjust it.
Yeah, you can tweak the HDR tone mapping to get a brighter picture if you want to,
Okay.
but you can also prioritize those subtle details in the bright areas of the screen.
Oh, okay. So it sounds like the Sony gives you more control over how HDR content looks. I guess that could be a huge deal for, those serious cinephiles out there.
Absolutely.
But what about regular SDR content? Did the Hisense still hold its own?
You know what? It did. The reviewer actually used a really interesting example
Oh, tell me.
to illustrate the differences. They compared skin tones
Okay.
on golfers Phil Mickelson and Grant Corvette.
Interesting, okay.
And you know what?
What?
The Sony definitely delivered a brighter image with more detail overall, but the Hisense might have actually produced slightly more natural-looking skin tones.
Okay, now that's what I call attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing things get even more interesting when we start talking about Dolby Vision.
Oh, absolutely. Here's where things take a surprising turn.
Don't leave me hanging. What happened?
You're not going to believe this, but the Hisense actually outshone the Sony in Dolby Vision content.
Wait, so the budget-friendly Hisense is beating the Sony in Dolby Vision brightness.
It was noticeably brighter. I mean, it really popped.
That's a serious plot twist. Is there a catch?
There might be. It depends on how sensitive you are to motion issues. That extra brightness came at a cost.
Okay, I'm listening.
The reviewer noticed some noticeable stutter and judder. Which, let's be honest, can be a bit distracting for some viewers, especially in fast-paced action scenes or sports.
So brighter isn't always better if it means sacrificing smooth motion. This is getting really interesting. I can't wait to hear what else the reviewer had to say. I'm guessing they compared the audio next.
Yeah, they definitely did. And unsurprisingly, the Sony really impressed in the sound department.
Yeah, Sony's known for good audio.
Yeah.
What makes it so much better? Is it just bigger speakers?
Not necessarily. It's not just about the size, it's the technology. The Sony uses something called beamforming tweeters.
Beamforming what?
Tweeters. Think of them like tiny speakers.
Yeah.
That can actually direct the sound, creating a wider sound stage.
Really?
It's like having like a mini home theater system built right into the TV.
That's pretty cool, beamforming tweeters. I'm adding that to my tech vocabulary list.
Yeah, it's a good one.
But, let's be real. No matter how good those built-in speakers are, a lot of us are still going to end up hooking up a soundbar or even a full surround sound system, for that truly immersive experience.
Absolutely. And that's something to keep in mind when comparing TVs. All those fancy features in the audio department, they might not matter as much if you're planning on upgrading your sound system anyway.
Okay, so picture, sound. What about the overall user experience? Did the reviewer touch on stuff like the interface, the remote, all the things we interact with every day?
They did. The reviewer compared the remotes. Aesthetically, the Sony's rechargeable option felt more premium.
Okay.
Compared to the Hisense's, which was a little bit bulkier. Silver remote.
See, I knew that fancy packaging wasn't just for show. But honestly, as long as the remote is functional, comfortable to use, I'm not too picky about how it looks.
Right. Function over form. And when it came to the on-screen interfaces, the menus both were pretty much on par with each other. The reviewer noted that both TVs were really easy to navigate and customize. So, no clear winner there.
But even if the interface and basic functionality are similar, I'm guessing that premium feel of the Sony extends to its overall build quality. Maybe it just feels more durable, less likely to fall apart after a couple of years.
That's a great point. And yeah, you're right. The reviewer did mention that the Sony's build quality felt more robust. It's hard to say how that'll translate to long-term durability, but it definitely gives you that impression that the Sony might be a better investment. If you're looking for a TV that's going to last.
That's definitely an important thing to consider because TVs aren't exactly impulse purchases. You want something that will stand the test of time.
Absolutely. So, taking all of that into account, picture quality, sound, user experience, build quality, what's the verdict? Drumroll, please.
Don't keep me in suspense. Did the Sony's premium price tag justify its performance, or did the Hisense pull off a major upset?
The reviewer concluded that the Hisense U9N offers incredibly close performance to the Sony Bravia 9 at a significantly lower price.
So it sounds like the Hisense really gave the Sony a run for its money. I'm actually pretty impressed. But I'm guessing the Sony still has some advantages.
Yeah, you're right. For those who really prioritize picture quality above all else, the Sony still holds a slight edge. It consistently delivered a slightly more refined picture, especially when it came to motion handling and detail in those background objects.
It sounds like we're talking about some pretty subtle differences, though. Do you think the average viewer would even notice?
That's a good question. Honestly, I think most people would be absolutely thrilled with the Hisense's performance. It really punches above its weight class.
This is making me rethink my whole TV buying strategy. I always thought you had to shell out the big bucks to get that top-tier experience, but this comparison is kind of suggesting otherwise.
Yeah, it's a great example of how the TV market is evolving. Brands like Hisense are stepping up their game, offering fantastic alternatives to those traditional, high-end brands, and that's great news for us consumers.
More competition just means more choice and better prices.
Exactly.
But before we wrap things up, I gotta ask, did the reviewer mention anything about the future of these TVs? Are there any new models on the horizon?
Hold on to your hats because there's one more exciting detail. A new Hisense U9N is slated for release in 2025. A new Hisense U9N in 2025, huh? That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Hisense can close the gap with Sony even further with that new model. Maybe they'll even surpass them in some areas. You never know.
It's definitely something to keep an eye on. The mini LED market is evolving so rapidly, and Hisense is clearly a brand on the move.
You've got me thinking, what other hidden gems are out there? This whole deep dive has been a real eye-opener. I'm starting to think maybe I've been overspending on tech all these years.
You know, that's a great point. We often get so caught up in the hype around those big name brands, but there are so many fantastic and budget-friendly options out there. It's all about finding that sweet spot between performance, features, and affordability.
Maybe we should do a whole series on budget-friendly tech that punches above its weight class. I think our listeners would really appreciate that.
I'm in. That sounds like a really fun and informative series. We could uncover some real hidden treasures.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground today. We talked about the Sony Bravia 9, the Hisense U9N, beam-forming tweeters, Dolby Vision, and even what the future might hold for mini LED TVs. But before we sign off, I want to bring it back to you, the listener. What are your thoughts? Did anything about this comparison surprise you? What stands out to you? And most importantly, knowing what we know now, which TV would you choose? The premium Sony or the budget-friendly Hisense? For me, the biggest takeaway is that we've reached a point where a budget-friendly TV can genuinely compete with a top-tier brand like Sony. That's a huge deal for consumers because you don't have to break the bank to get a truly immersive viewing experience.
I think that's a fantastic point, and it's a trend we're seeing across the tech industry as a whole. The playing field is leveling, and it's creating more choices and better value for you, the listener.
It's exciting. This deep dive has definitely made me rethink how I approach tech purchases. I used to think that premium automatically meant better, but now I realize there are amazing deals out there if you're willing to do a little research.
Exactly. It's all about understanding your needs and priorities. Maybe you're a cinephile who needs absolute picture perfection. Or maybe we're just looking for a solid TV for casual viewing. There's a perfect TV out there for everyone, and it doesn't have to cost a fortune.
Well said. And who knows, maybe that 2025 Hisense U9N will blow us all away and redefine what's possible in a budget-friendly TV. I, for one, am excited to see what the future holds.
Me too. The innovation in the TV market is just relentless. There's always something new and exciting right around the corner. I can't wait to see what they come up with next.
This has been such a fun and insightful deep dive into the world of mini LED TVs. I hope you learned something new today and maybe even discovered a hidden gem you didn't know existed. Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed this episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.